we talk about which player is most likely to be traded for the Clippers. Now, you can look at a lot of players in the Clippers organization that, could be traded or, could be, or at least in trade talks. Now, when I say trade talks, I mean in regards to, just somebody that they're thinking about shopping around rather than somebody that they're actually going to trade for, unless they get really, really true value for that person. Now, I know a lot of people might be thinking Luke Kennard. I don't think they're going to trade Luke Kennard for some reason. I mean, I'm not saying they wouldn't, because you never know in the NBA. You never know about any of these teams. If they find a good enough deal, they'll definitely go for it, and I don't blame them. But I think, a player like Luke Kennard, I mean, just seeing the value that he brought, in the playoffs and some during the regular season as well, and how he was just resilient. He stayed ready. He stayed humble. He stayed hungry, and he stayed prepared. He stayed prepared for the moment all the time. And when you look at things like that in a player, and he's a knockdown shooter, he shoots a high percentage, and he tries really hard on defense. So those type of things go a long way. And I think just by looking at, the chemistry, the camaraderie that he had with other players, I feel like, Ty Lue really took a liking to Luke Kennard in regards to how he responded, even though he was, on the bench a lot in the regular season. But when he was called upon, he came and delivered. So I'm not really sure they'll, let go of a player like that unless they, have a lot of, unless they get really true value for a player like him, or unless they find like a super really good deal, or like if you got like a Derrick Rose or somebody like that, who knows? But my thing is, it's just certain players I think that's on the Clippers that they're just, going to hold on to. And I feel like he's one of them for some reason. I don't know why I feel that way. I just do. I personally think that, they'll find a way to, keep some other players as well that, like a Terrence Mann, players like that. I just feel like there's certain players that are on an NBA roster where they're not letting those players go unless they really get the ultimatum out the situation. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how I see it. Now, as far as the one player I think they will trade, and more likely a trade here soon, sooner than what people think, I'm personally going to go with Rajon Rondo. Because when I look at Rondo, he's about to be 30. I mean, like I said, I look at Rondo as a piece that they might actually trade, because looking at his value to the team, I don't really believe it's what the Clippers expected it to be. I believe they expected more out of Rondo just because of what they saw him do for the Lakers in the bubble last year. I believe that just what he gave to the Clippers this year, it was good. It wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't championship Rondo. And I feel like, like I said before, I feel like he was in the doghouse with Ty Lue. And I feel like, the little small, which was really nothing, incident he had with, Kawhi Leonard. I just think that didn't set well with the team. I don't think that set well with the front office. And we all know Rondo could be a firecracker at times. He could be really, really hot-headed, and he could be really, really an annoying problem in a locker room. He really can. He's shown that many times in his career in certain areas, and, nobody forgets those things, so you have to take those things into account. And I'm looking at Rondo as just that type of player that, I'm not sure if the Clippers are really sold on. I mean, I feel like they were at first, but, watching Rondo play the game and, the camaraderie with the team and everything like that, I don't feel like they feel like his services were really, utilized to the highest degree, because he just wasn't the player they expected, and I feel like that is no knock on Rondo. It could just be because he's getting older, or it could just be because, maybe he just didn't fit with the team really well. Who knows? Like I said, yeah. Who knows? It could be a multitude of things. It could be the fact that, maybe he didn't get along with somebody in the locker room, or maybe, him and Ty Lue just... Yeah, I really don't know what's going on with that situation. I've said it before. I've always been confused about the Rondo situation. To me, he just hasn't lived up to expectation. And I just think the Clippers are really, really to the point where they would trade him in a heartbeat if they can get a player like Derrick Rose, or, a player like a Kyle Lowry, somebody like that, because I think that would just be a better fit. I just feel like Rondo can be a troublemaker to a degree in a locker room, but I also feel like he can be a really good player in the locker room if he's comfortable. And I'm just not sure if he's comfortable with the, Clippers and everything being the doghouse how he was, because him not starting like he probably thought he would, and like a lot of other people thought he probably would, probably shocked him, and it probably, threw his mental off some with the Clippers. And Ty Lue is the type of coach where if he just doesn't see you playing to your highest ability, he'll bench you. That's just the way it is. He's always been that way. He'll jump in the face of superstars, and it doesn't matter who it is. So Rondo got put in the doghouse a long time ago, and I think the only reason why he really got playing time a little bit going towards the end of their run in the playoffs is because of Kawhi being hurt, and they just needed bodies to fill in, because when you looked at him in the Dallas series in the beginning, he played okay. He didn't play bad at all. It's just that I don't know. I just feel like the Clippers expected more out of him than what he was able to provide. And that's why I feel like he's the one that they would easily trade in a heartbeat, because when you look at his totality and what he brought to the team, it was an edge, it was a toughness, but it didn't help them get over the hump ultimately. And you can say, Kawhi Leonard not being there was the issue and all these things. But, when you have a deep roster like they have, the expectation is still the same. And I hate to say that, because I know if Kawhi was there, they would have definitely went further in the playoffs. They'd be in the finals. But that's the reason why you have depth sometime, because not like they can make up for the best player on the team, but the teams look at it like, hey, it's next man up mentality. And I know that sucks. I know that's bad to really, that's a bad way of thinking to a degree, because nobody can make up for Kawhi Leonard. But at the same time, if you have championship type experience on there, that's supposed to help you get over the hump in some areas. And I just don't feel like Rondo helped them get over the hump in their eyes. And I feel like, to me, the Clippers more or less might look at Rondo as a failure. You see what I'm saying? So now, of course, he might not be the player to be traded, but in theory, I wouldn't rule it out, because there's a possibility that he could be, and I think he's more likely the one to be traded first. And you can make a case for Boogie Cousins, but the way he played, the inspired basketball he played when he came into them games, I mean, at times he looked like Boogie Cousins from the Sacramento Kings when he was on the floor. And if they can get that type of energy out of him, well, they really got something going there. So, like I said, I'm not sure about who will get traded on the team. We'll have to see how that goes. But it's just my opinion. If you ask me, Rondo was the most likely to go, because him being the doghouse and not being in Ty Lue's favor. And I don't know what Kawhi and the rest of the team thinks about him, but it might not be much. And who knows what Steve Ballmer thinks. They went and got him from Atlanta and brought him in and thought he would be the missing piece. And to me, if you ask me, he really wasn't the missing piece, because, he just wasn't that dominant type player off the bench where he comes in and he makes an impact every time he comes in for every series they played in the playoffs. Because you got Rondo for the playoffs. You didn't get him for anything else. So when you look at his playoffs, it was a bust. Let's just be honest. It's championship or bust, and it was a bust with Rondo. But hey, that's my take on the situation, what I think about it of a player that might be traded. But who do you think? Leave any comments in the comment section like always, and we'll talk about it as we always do. And you know what I'm about to say. Cali out.